If you care to reach out anytime, feel free to give me a call at 1-843-504-1776. You can hashtag my name if you care to. There we go. Thanks for showing up. It lets me know I've actually got a live broadcast that's going out there. So I'm going to take us for a ride and show you some of the urban display of reflections. Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. So this should be kind of interesting. What we had with the road project this past winter, they made the road more smooth. The one that I'll be driving in a little bit on Highway 9. And because it's more smooth, they resurfaced it, reground it, and what we'll see is a much sharper reflection, and it's a much darker blacktop. And the contrast with the lights should be interesting. I'm going to take us right to the ocean and show you what it looks like out there. I probably won't be using the P1000 because of all the rain that's around. And so here we go. I'm going to flip this around and show you how it looks. One of the advantages that I have going live with Facebook is there will be a lot more people that will view immediately. And if you would like to go over to my channel, YouTube, it's called Truth, it's on YouTube, and subscribe and like if you do, and add the notification feature if you care to. Right now, YouTube is unsubscribing channels from one another. It happens to me. People are being unsubscribed from my channel, and I'm being unsubscribed from channels that I'm connected with, and I've even had the notifications activated. It's just one of the things that's happening. Last night I did a moonrise and sunset out at the point in Cherry Grove. I'm going to head out towards that way and towards the Russell Burgess Coastal Preserve. The tide is coming in and up right now as the sun moves towards us. Just even 20 minutes ago, it was a lot darker. It looked like nighttime. So the clouds are breaking up. That's part of the evidence of the local sun, and that's part of what has been such an instrumental part in the growth of my channel and visibility. I believe God gave me feature, the creator of this world, Yahweh, YHWH, Yahweh. You can hashtag the name of God if you care to. And I've known him as Jesus Christ most of my life. And I understand that the letter J wasn't around back in the time when Scripture was written. So there's, even in the context of the name of God, the name of the Savior, that's been tampered with as well. So that's one of the reasons why I'll talk about the many names and titles, the Alpha and Omega, the Almighty, the Most Holy, the Great I Am, the Living Word, the Living Water, and all of that. He gave me new life, and that's a big deal. I was one of the religious phonies and didn't know it. I thought I was born again, and I wasn't. That's one of the big deals. So even though the shape of the earth, I believe, is important, I believe it's important because it communicates the characteristics and attributes of God as well. The fact that the truth matters to you or whoever it matters to, I believe, is important. So with regards to topics like artificial intelligence, as powerful as AI is, and autonomous weapons, and the putrefaction of the environment that we live in, as important as all that is, God is still sovereign. The Creator is still almighty and all-powerful and all-knowing. So that's That's substantially more than AI. Just so you know. That's why I'm truly not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. It's a big deal. And that's part of the fellowship that we have, even though we're somewhat disconnected geographically. There is a cybernetic collective of communications and connectivity through the internet with our personal computers that all of our smartphones are. And so I'm not saying all artificial intelligence is bad. I use it every day. And it works for me around the clock. And so, like, for example, right now, numbers say that, or the statistics that I've seen and I've witnessed out in the public, there's children, before they walk, many times are on smartphones, a third of them. That's a lot. So they do have some programming options that may have more truth to them than the mainstream media would provide. Now, I wanted to call attention to the reflections that are more visible now, and that's part of like the sea level liquid mirror that's out near the ocean, and that's why I wanted to highlight that. The signs have a reflective feature on them. It's a reflective paint that I'll just put my brights on and we can see the difference there. Turn them off and look at the difference of that. That reflective technology is interesting. We've had an increase of knowledge that should be obvious to everybody. You know, we went from horses and buggies and that, and then less than, 100 years later or less, we're flying over the level plane, the stationary level plane in aircraft, some of which are actually grounded now. The 737 MAX was grounded because the AI took over and crashed some planes. I've got documentaries that expose it. I'm not going to unload all of that for you right now or unpack it. I just wanted to make mention of it, that if you fly or know somebody who does, it could affect their life. How many of those types of situations could still occur? The flat spot in the middle is the waterway, intracoastal waterway, and that's tidal affected, and we have now rainfall. There's a temperature differential normally crossing over the waterway, and you saw it happen right in front of you. That's the condensation that's turning into precipitation. Lots of it. We have waterfalls, rainfalls, showers, toilet flushing. All of our interaction with water proves the impossibility of the heliocentric or globe model. So reality truly shows the impossibility of the globe. Do you think a washing machine is an anti-gravity device, or a tennis ball is thrown at the beach with all the dog spit, sand, and salt water flying off? No, it's just the reality of how things actually work. That's the point of that. That's why I'll say that and say it in that way. Reality exposes the global lie. For somebody that considers themselves highly educated and all of that, well informed, if they believe they're living on a spinning water ball, I know that they're deceived about that, as I have been saying for years now. I'm not going to say it's my opinion or it's my belief. I know it. Nobody lives on a globe except in their imagination. Yeah, how about that? So yeah, you can clearly see the rain fall. When I made my audio Bible, video Bibles, some days I would drive in there to do it when it was raining like this on a motorcycle. Now I've got the benefit of a mobile broadcast studio. That is awesome. And it's a moving billboard too. I mean, people will see the car and they'll go there. Last night I was out on the on the point, and there was a family out there from Pennsylvania, a wonderful family. Had a nice conversation with them after my YouTube broadcast. I just wanted to show you the rain stopped temporarily. But anyway, they were on their smart devices, a whole group of them, and it looked like they were right next to me, and they were watching the video there, and they were on my channel. Some people will be able to find my channel, and some will not. When I drop in on a post and I hashtag Robert Forsch, or put the link to my YouTube Truth channel, what I'm wanting to do is help people to realize there's a lot more there than the shape of the earth, because that's really insignificant in one respect. It's more of an indicator of, do you love the truth or not? Do you want to know it or not? And there's two families in this world, as best I can tell: God's family and Satan's family. And the elect angels are on God's team, and the fallen angels are on Satan's team. And then we've got demons and hybrids. We've got a commingling of fallen angel and demonic type individuals or entities that are intermingled in humanity. It's pretty disturbing. Yeah, how about that? But greater is he that's in me and all of God's children than he that's in the world. So when the sand is wet like this, I can actually drive on it a little bit. I'm technically not on the beach. I just wanted to show you. Right in the middle of the view is the open ocean, and I'm gonna go ahead and I think take us on out there for a little bit, but I just want to park for a minute. Oh, let's see, I do want to grab one of my tools here. Let me see, I'm going to do this a little bit different. It should be interesting. I want it to be a little bit higher quality. Let me... One of the challenges, I have my my P1000 I've used as my device to support my camera. Now that I went without that, I have to make some changes here real quick. So I'll go ahead and do that. I think it's I believe it's worthwhile. Alright, that should be pretty good. Alright, here we go. Oh, that's a little weird. So right here we've got a drain right in the middle of the view, and I've had a video where this has been a huge puddle right here. Obviously right now it's working, and that's just what it does. That's the reality of how this works. The water continually seeks level all over the face of the stationary Earth. We don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. It's just what it does. So the Myrtle Beach skyline would be visible if there were less clouds. I can see a little bit of it right in the middle of the view. This is the area where I shot the local sun video. I am actually expecting some pretty serious storms to hit us this year. Sorry about that. We can see the contrast right there, right in the middle of the view. That's one of the contrast of the rain falling and how it blocks the light. Perfect to demonstrate what I wanted to show you. So in the coastal region that this is, in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, specifically Cherry Grove area, I wanted to show you what it looks like when the rain comes in. And so the sun and the moon move above the stationary Earth. So do the stars, so does the wind. The water is moving all around. The people and the stuff, a lot of the stuff moves. The Earth doesn't move. There would be no level anywhere in this world if it were spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. Just wouldn't be happening. You can see my footprints, and that we didn't have a lot of rain yet here, just some, like a cloud burst that went through, like maybe a quarter of an inch of rain or so. I've seen several inches of rain in 15 minutes. It'll come down so fast that it's just time to pull over and put on the hazards, or keep them on. I would have normally had them on if it's coming down like that, and then I'll just pull off to the side of the road to avoid an accident. I don't know why this happens. A lot of times people will overdrive their ability to see in fog. It's a tendency that's pretty well known. I don't know why that is. Umbrellas and rain and all that affects the cinematography. I've got to break this down, and I'm going to take us for a little more of a drive again. It might even be beneficial to show you some of what I need to do as I, move things around. What I'll very likely do is convert this to a YouTube video later on when I get home, and then I will link this, the YouTube video, into the Facebook broadcast. And so if you like what you saw and or don't and want to comment on it, feel free to stop on by and make mention of that. That's one of the other practical things that we can do to support one another. One of the things I want to show you again is the the contrast of the globe, of course, and then what water actually does. Water will pour out over the globe. I've shown it time and time again. A friend sent this to me through Amazon. I really appreciate it a lot, and I wanted to go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it down a little bit. So it's like a big level, very precision. But it's thermal insulated. There we can see it a little bit better. But that's part of what will happen. The physics and properties of water show the impossibility of the life on a globe. So the globe exists in the imagination, the classrooms, the public indoctrination system, and then the ridicule that will go along with not, or that will be included should you choose to expose that lie, if you're aware of it and want to expose it. Okay, so I'm going to take us on for a little bit of a journey here. So lighthouses are one of the clues. So I've got a green light, but I've got people right in front of me. That's a no-brainer, right? But that's just part of the reality of life. And I'm not even upset with them. It's just the way it is. I ride a motorcycle as well. And so I've got to be very careful. Like people, I realize people don't see me. One of the reasons for the urban display, I'm not going to splash them. I could have soaked them. Absolutely soaked them. Of course I'm not going to do that. However, there's people in this world that would absolutely have done that and liked it. So one of the evidences here, once again, would be the signs, the reflections, the way all that works. It shows that the physics and properties of water are exactly as I'm telling you. The surface of undisturbed water is flat and level. You can test it out. It's testable, repeatable evidence. So in a world where there's a lot of mystery, one of those that I've absolutely solved for myself and show regularly would be the way that the physics and properties of water conclusively prove the impossibility of life on a globe. And yet there's most of humanity believes they live on a spinning water sphere. I'll turn my brights on now, see if you can see a difference. Oh yeah, off, on. One of my video, or I'm going to show you one of the props that's in quite a few of my videos, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Ooh, wow, that's a big crane. Pretty cool. Like I mentioned, the tide's coming in and up, and now we'll see all the reflections. And in the middle of the view is a dead end sign, and it says no turnaround. I want you to think about that. Consider that. Here it is, right there. Dead end, no turnaround. We actually have 7 people per second no longer have the human experience. We're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. Around half of those are abortions, and then the other more than half goes in a variety of ways. wars, starvation, murder. So now I'm going to run out without the umbrella. I think I don't need it. And some might say I don't think I need it. I actually think I don't need it. That's how that works. So I'm gonna run this a little bit different. I'll just take the let's see. I need to take this apart. I've got a tripod that I can pull the. You know what? Yeah, I'll do it like this. I think it works best. So I want to show you some of the reflections with just an urban display, and I'll be out for a little bit without the umbrella. It'll make it a little bit, actually a lot easier. The umbrella is hard to handle with wind and rain, and if I don't need it, I won't use it. So I'll flip this around and show you. So this is what I did. I just disconnected that, and that'll give me a little bit more of a reach. It's a pretty good, what might be viewed as a selfie stick, but it's way more professional. Some of the things that I wanted to call your attention to is the reflections there. Even though it's a matte finish, it's still obvious to see the reflection of the building. The shiny spots are created or allowed to exist because of a lack of air turbulence in those areas. That's the Prince Resort in the middle of the view, and the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier is right in front of it. I should have a pretty nice reflection to show you that from a different vantage point. Just a reminder that that's how things actually work. And what will happen, as many of you are probably aware of, is that individuals will question your intelligence, your character, and all of that when you don't go along with the official lie. Oh well. That's what they'll do. Too bad for them. They're either going along with it knowingly, or they're deceived and they just don't know. So, any questions? Let me, I gotta flip this a little bit back. I think it's a very powerful reality to recognize. The lighting makes a huge difference. Just raising and dropping the lens of the camera makes a huge difference. So when we have cars coming by, here comes one right now. It's a dark colored car, so it'll be tougher to see it, but we'll still see it there. More cars coming. It's just what'll happen. It's just how it'll work. And then that water will get calm pretty quick. It's sprinkling a little bit. Here they come. The larger drop was a drop that collected on the wires up there. So when we had Hurricane Matthew, the water where I'm standing would be about up to my chin over the road, about 4 or 5 feet, actually about 6 feet over the road. That's why the houses are on stilts. So the tide will come in, but then there's more than that. It's what's called the storm surge, and it's a killer. It kills people every year all around the stationary level Earth. There's tropical storms brewing right now, and there's a category of hashtags I've termed weather wars. I want to show you something here. Can you, I hope you can see it. I know I can. The footprints in the muck right there. The water in there is all level. They're all reflecting the same area, or I should say they're all reflecting and proving how they're level. Some of the Canadian geese come here and stay. I can hear them. You probably can too. And I've been heard saying we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. That is probably occupied right now. So what I've shown would be the reflections right in the middle of the view. We can see the hotel there, or condo. It's actually a condo. The Prince Resort there's condos available, and it's a hotel as well. Hurricane Matthew saw water over the top of the railings here, and winds over 100 miles an hour. That's brutal. That's one of the reasons why a lot of the construction here is newer, because, well, older technology can't handle that. Steel reinforced concrete can. I show video on my channel. RSG out of California uses a steel reinforced foam core concrete panel construction that a .50 caliber sniper rifle can't shoot through. It's fireproof, storm-proof up to over 250 miles an hour. And you can save whoa, that was weird. And you can save a lot of money on your utility bill as well with that. The only reason to carry insurance when you've got one of those is to help pay for people who don't have one built like that. Just had lightning right there, and it's starting to rain again. So why aren't houses built like that now? It's a foam core panel, 3D panel it's called, and that will save people a lot of money on insurance. You can actually get underwritten for a fraction of the cost, but you have to find the right carrier. And the way that works is you work with a company that is insuring concrete homes and the people that recognize the value of it. So I was watching a video about drug cartels in Mexico and the Mormon relationship with that. A lot of Mormons moved towards Mexico, actually the Romney family, because it was legal to have many wives. Some of these guys had over 400 family members, their children and grandchildren. It's kind of weird, but what I would say, if I lived in an area where there were drug cartels that were trying to kidnap people and would send a group of people armed with machine guns to try and take somebody from you, probably wouldn't have any windows in the fortress I live in. I probably would have closed circuit TV cameras and a backup generator and battery system inside. Where I live, I don't have to have any of that. If you wanted to make a compound, I'm not selling it, I'm just telling it. I'm telling you, I know how to build that kind of a deal. It's not just, I wouldn't be the one putting the shotcrete on the panel construction or wiring the closed circuit TV. I would just have people do it. If you've got the money and you want to have something like that, we could talk on the phone about it. My number is 1-843-504-1776. You can hashtag my name if you want. This is what people see when they're driving around here. Some of them will go to my channel, and some will think, well, that's just crazy. Oh well. It's not just what I'm talking about. It's what I've found and shared. That's part of the benefit of that. So I've been a researcher for a long time. The steel reinforced concrete I've known about for over 20 years. And it's just good to lock the door when I get in the car. Yeah. It's good to know how to park and how to have evasive driving techniques. Am I paranoid? Well, I'm outing the whole corrupt world system, including the Illuminati and the alphabet agencies and all of that. Human trafficking, Satanism. You think there's somebody that would like to kill me? Of course. Satan already has tried. He can't touch me unless God allows him to, or it's time for me. There's nothing in this world that's going to happen that my Heavenly Father doesn't cause or allow. That's a great comfort to me. I was hit by lightning out at the point. I got it on video. It was a test. The old me, before I was born again, would have thought, well, God wants to see what I would do. Would I stay out there and record as I did, or would I just run away? I was on the motorcycle that day and a storm came in and there was lightning all around, and I was recording 5 surf fishermen out there. And they kept fishing. It was hilarious. If you hashtag struck by lightning on my channel, you'll see it. And they were from Vietnam. I talked to them the day before they were out there. The one gentleman that I talked to knew that he was born again, and I told him how great I thought that was, that he said it like that. Then there are other people that think they don't need to be born again, they just need to be baptized and go to their Catholic church, but that's a false religion as well, just so you know. Mormonism, false religion. A lot of what's wearing the name of Christianity. Joel Osteen, for example, has the spinning globe on his stage, right? And he's promoting another gospel. And then there are some that are promoting legalism, and I would say you should check out Galatians, listen to that, Paul's letter to the Galatians. But I wanted to go back to the lightning strike and simply say that I believe it was a test that God wanted me to see what I would do. He knows everything. He knew what I was going to do. He wanted me to see that. That's why when I say I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth, my life exposes that. It's not that I'm a little boy whistling in the dark or a 58-year-old guy doing that. I'm giving out my phone number, my address. If you want the YouTube Truth stickers, you can come and pay me a visit. I know they're backwards there, but let's show it in the proper orientation while I'm talking about it. They're just like that. And I'll send them to you. Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope at 169 Cloverleaf Drive, Longs, South Carolina 29568. And if you would be one of those people that would mean to do me harm, be prepared to be live on Facebook or YouTube. Have cameras. I know how to use. I'm not afraid to use them. It's time for a little highly purified, carbon filtered, solar activated water that's been run through some coffee beans. So this water is the same kind of water, reverse osmosis, carbon filtered, and I like to put it in the sun. The sun is part of the natural process of ultraviolet light and its interaction all over the face of the earth. You can see it right in front of us. That's the water seeking its level, coming in and up right now. I wouldn't want to be drinking rainwater. I don't know what's in it. I don't need the minerals in my water per se. I'm actually bathing in drinking water. I have a reverse osmosis carbon filtration system in my laundry room. I have 5-gallon jugs that I fill on top of my washing machine. When the jug overflows, periodically it happens, it'll fill up the washer and I can dip it out and water plants, or I can wash clothes with it. I don't want it to go to waste. It's ultimately going to, when I bathe in it, it's going to absorb into my skin and into my vital organs and ultimately into the brain. And that water doesn't have chemicals in it like other people's prescriptions or the high sodium fluoride. And I've got the Great Culling, the movie, that talks about the water fluoridation. That little touch of the screen I did was part of artificial intelligence modifying the view, modifying the lighting. I use the technology. Alcohol crosses the blood-brain barrier, but it's really unhealthy and destructive to the body, to the brain. So I'll flip this around once again, and now all the raindrops are creating a bit of a matte finish on that surface. So we have rainfall, waterfalls. Water falls. That's what it does. How about that? Isn't that wonderful? It is. It is. It's wonderful to know the truth about this stuff. So the climate control system of the vehicle I'm in will take the moisture out of the air and it'll drip out below the car. If I wanted to, I could have a water recovery bottle inside my cabin of the car. I probably will one day. It's a project that I could get around to. I just haven't yet. You can still see the matte finish of the reflections, but it's all, whoops, I've got my headlight on there. It's all a bit different. Oh, she's got her little puppy dog. I'm going to get my bigger umbrella. I'll be right back. See how that works out. Well, it's a little, let me do this a little different. It's a little tough to get to right now. I've got a bunch of other stuff in the way. So I'll do this again. So this is at the Prince Resort Cherry Grove Fishing Pier area. Get this all set up. The reminders of the reality we live in is all around if you have eyes to see it. That's part of the benefit of getting out and about and unplugging from some of the digital distraction that's all around. That looks like they added some new lighting there. It's kind of cool. Wow, there's fishermen up there. Surfers typically don't mind if it's raining. It's a little freshwater rinse. A lot of rain down there. This morning it was pretty warm in the house today. The air conditioner wasn't operating properly, and it was simply a breaker. I'm going to zoom in on that. It's kind of interesting. It's a concentration of moisture right there that's being moved by the turbulence of the air. See, that's evidence that we didn't get a lot of rain because it's dry under there. drier. It's not as wet. High tide, like I mentioned earlier, is a little after 8 o'clock a.m. We're scheduled to have Hampton Inn come out of the parking lot right there. Anytime now they'll start construction. So I showed the sunrise yesterday without almost any commentary. I believe it was zero commentary for a couple hours. And the sun rose right about in the middle of the view from this vantage point. We had a beach renourishment take place here. I've got evidence of that showing bulldozers on the beach pumping sand up ships and diesel pumps. So that's the Myrtle Beach skyline right there. It's about 25 to 30 miles away. The Hoffman Group has condos for sale here, oceanfront condos if you're interested. The Grand Strand is about 60 miles long along the coast of South Carolina, and we're anticipated to have 20 million guests here this year. It's a mission field that comes to us. So this is a time of the day and a condition that'll be less traveled right now. Not as many people out, obviously. Last night it was a beautiful yet windy sunset. You can see what it looked like on my YouTube channel. I had some connectivity issue. Wow, lightning right over there. That's where I was struck by lightning, right in the middle of the view, about 2 miles away. I felt it go through me. It cracked the glass on my, I'll show you my, I was holding an umbrella with an aluminum shaft on it, and I was barefoot on the wet sand, and I know about conductivity, and I know that there was a possibility that I'd be struck by lightning. I knew that. And I know who controls the storms of life. And so I really believe what I'm talking about. I don't just say it to sound like I believe it. It's true. Looks like my friend Todd on his Harley. The first 2 floors, 2 levels of the parking ramp are free public parking at this time. It's $8 a day to park in the, hi Sally, to park in the parking lot here. So there will be people that look out their balcony, they'll drive around, they'll see this, and hopefully they find the truth. That's why I do it. So perspective really matters. I remember several years ago, Joni asked me, that's my wife, asked me if I would go to Walmart and pick up a couple of things. It was a Saturday afternoon in the summer, and I said, is it an emergency? She said, no. I said, well, good, because I don't really want to go. This was a decade ago. Because there might be 300 people waiting to get through the checkout there at that time of the week, you know, summer and busy Saturday afternoon, people arriving from all over. Back in that time, we would have maybe 12 million people a year. But when you're looking at that kind of an influx of population, that's a lot of people, and they're going to be all over. What I want you to think about: artificial intelligence can interrupt the power creation and distribution wherever God allows. God is still sovereign. He's still in charge. He allows a lot of people to die, right? It's been happening for a long time. The reason why I point this out is because, let's say people are visiting from whatever area, whatever state, and they find out that there's a catastrophic power interruption. Logistics are not happening. The distribution of food and water has stopped. Trucks aren't rolling. They may be home with their families. There may be a few people out trying to get fuel and food to people, but it's going to break down real quick depending on how big it is. If they're all loaded up with beach chairs and boogie boards, do you think they might just unload those and go to the local grocery stores and clear them out? At any given time through the year in this area, we are minutes away from having the stores cleared out if people panic. It's not like your local Pennsylvania or New London, Wisconsin Walmart, where people have been stocking up and they've got chest freezers full of stuff. I did a live broadcast in the Walmart. It was an open Walmart after Hurricane Matthew, and there was an interruption in their power generating. Their generator failed, so they lost over $100,000 worth of food. So I showed a fully open Walmart with people all around, walking around looking at the empty food cabinets, the empty freezer section. All refrigerated food was discarded. And they didn't fill it up right away either. It was like days before it was replenished. I just want you to think about that. We have a little chest freezer at home, and it takes, it's a Hisense, got it from Costco. It cost $150. It's only 7 cubic feet, but it's really efficient. It's not an automatic defrost. And that is scheduled to operate for $27 a year. That's a lot different than your everyday use opening and closing the door on an automatic defrost refrigerator like we have in our kitchen, with about a 3 cubic foot or a 3 cubic foot freezer or whatever it is. It's small on top, and you open it up and the cold drops out. So when I talk about my highly nutritious energy drink that I make, I liquefy with a Ninja, chop it up, it spins over 3,000 RPM, and it'll liquefy. I'm not juicing and throwing away the fiber, I'm liquefying it. Spinach, kale, chia seed, hemp hearts, broccoli, apple cider vinegar, honey, mixed berries, bananas, any vegetables, other vegetables or fruits I want in there. I may put some walnuts in there. I may add some yogurt if I want, whatever I want to that. So when I bring bags of spinach and broccoli home, I throw them right away in the freezer. So they're going to be easy to pulverize and liquefy, and they're not decaying because of being in an elevated temperature. The spinach becomes brittle and pulverizes just like that. So I liquefy that, and then I put it in the freezer. I've got gallons of it in the freezer. So it'll last. If we had an interruption in power, that highly nutritious beverage will be there for, it's a food. One glass of it would last me a week. I could get by on a week. But the problem is it would start thawing and all that. But it'll stay frozen for weeks in there. When I got ready for the Flat Earth Conference in Denver, I got 5 pounds of dry ice, which is over 100 degrees below zero. It'll burn you just like that if you touch it with your bare skin. It's not like it might, it will. It'll burn the skin. So if I were to get a couple pounds of that and throw it in my chest freezer at home, it would keep things frozen for weeks easily with what's already in there. My point is this. It would be good to have extra consumables that you're actually going to use on hand. I've got a power generating system in this car. I could run that freezer for quite some time, as long as I have gas in the car. And then I've got an extra deep cycle battery to charge up equipment. Almost all the hotels around here have generators. Many of them have cell towers integrated. Some of them have cell towers integrated in them. When I first found out about the steel reinforced wire welded concrete 3D panel construction, I went to a factory in North Charleston that manufactured the storage for the systems for AT&T for their cellular towers. It was a big deal. They can handle wildfires, earthquakes, and hurricanes, tornadoes, all of that. And they were lighter weight, and that's one of the reasons why they made them like that. But they wire them together and then shotcrete it. It's a monolithic structure. That multi-million-dollar piece of equipment came from EVG in Austria. Talked with that gentleman from Honeycutt Produce. Actually get a lot of waves, smiles, people glad to see me. They go to my channel. Some of them are going to find out what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. He'll probably go there later today. I'm going to go ahead and take us for more of a drive and make some commentary as I go. So we've got a few Penske trucks around. They're diesel, typically, so they'll get almost twice the fuel economy of a gas U-Haul, just so you know. And when we have a hurricane, there's a dad and a couple of kids, youngins. So when we have a hurricane, those trucks go away just like that. Just like that. People will load stuff up, move it around. It's just the way it is. There's only a few of them. When we had Hurricane Florence, we had a lot of rain here, and then it flooded the Waccamaw River in our neighborhood a week later. The flooding started. All around. People died. I have friends that told me there was a deer photographed on top of a 2-story house next to the Waccamaw River. Let that sink in. It's a big deal. The water is relentless, and we've got evidence of flooding all around. You can just look at what it does. The events of Fukushima, that was actually, wow, that was a late stop. The events of Fukushima, that was a really big deal. And that, I believe, was could have been generated by a blast wave generator. There's technology to cause earthquakes, technology to cause tidal waves. Did you know that? And so, like, when I told Andy, who installed our satellite dish, I said, hey Andy, you know, there's no satellites as we're told. They're bouncing the signal for my DirecTV off of the firmament. He looked like buckwheat. His eyes got real big. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But anyway, some people will hear that. I've got evidence of it. Feed Your Mind has a video I featured on my liked videos. You can check it out. Satellite signals are code. Satellite TV is code for just frequencies that are bounced off of the structure of the firmament. This is Ocean Drive. I'm just going to go a couple miles towards Main Street in North Myrtle Beach. So I saw my friends setting up, all set up actually for parasailing today. They had everything out there for that. Wow, looks like we've got stuff in the road. Oh wow. They would have done better to have more cones or something on that. So sometimes people die in industrial accidents. Could that guy cutting concrete on a gray day without any bright yellow on him or on the road get hit by a car? Absolutely. Absolutely. Wasn't an accident? Well, it would be, apparently. That's the way it would show up, but it was actually people doing things they shouldn't do in a way they shouldn't do them. Not supposed to be out there like that. Should have maybe even a truck with flashing lights if you're going to be out in the road like that. So the 737 that are grounded, Joni said you're making stuff up. I said they're all grounded. I've got videos showing that the 737 MAX is grounded. You can see it. She wants to see me as a whack job so she can do her own thing. Oh well. I'm outing the whole corrupt system of the world. I'm clearly going to let you know that I struggle with personal opposition right at home, even though I've got evidence for what I'm talking about. Oh well, I don't say that so you'll feel sorry for me. I say that just so that you know that it's not all flowers and sunshine for me. It's challenging. And that's part of the evidence of the reality of what I'm talking about here, and the fact that I'm actually born again and I enjoy my life even though it's difficult. How about that? Yeah. That's part of the beauty of this, is that even in the midst of the challenges, even in the midst of the difficulties, God helps me to have a satisfaction in doing what I'm created to do. So I'll just continue to do that. Everybody else can deal with that, whatever that is for them. So on Thursday night, we're scheduled to have a concert here on the stage. There will be maybe 5,000 people show up if the weather's nice. When we've had rain happen, we've had, I would say we had canoes, kayaks going down Main Street. here. Now I was at this location and I showed a part of the beach renourishment here. Now I want to show you fortified porta units. I'm going to park well here and take you on out and show you something. Now, even though these bathrooms could handle the wind, they're not going to handle a 30-foot tidal wave. I mean, you would drown in there. It'd be a swimming pool for you for a while. That wouldn't be good. So let me, I'm just going to take it like this in my hands. So now I'm just holding the camera like that. You can see that. It's a little bit different. It works really well. This used to be a gravel parking lot. Now it's all been upgraded. Pretty nice. This is an area I'll come on out and reach out to people. Could be any given time of the day or night. So like I've come on out here at 3 in the morning and there would be a lot of people out. Depends on the weather and what events going on. Bike week's pretty busy like that. So for example, this is steel reinforced concrete right here. It's all could handle hundreds of miles an hour of wind. There we go. Looks like a little family is out on the beach. Now, they're charging for parking here, but it's after 9 o'clock and before 5, 9 to 5. You can see it right there. And they're doing that to help procure more parking areas. Wow, just saw lightning right out there. This right here is to allow air to flow in so the storm drains function properly. The flood that Noah prepared for, God opened up the floodgates of heaven. There's a lot of water up there, the firmament. That's the thunder from the lightning I mentioned seconds ago. Then he also opened up the fountains of the deep, a lot of water flow, and caused it to start raining. 3 water sources. The the discovery of Noah's Ark by Wyatt, James Wyatt, I believe his name is, on my channel. You can see it in the mountains of Ararat. So no big deal, just a nice little rain here today, some thunderstorms, but we've got rain scheduled for the next week or so. When Hurricane Florence was approaching us, the buoys out in the ocean were registering, the official NOAA buoys were registering only 20 knots. And the Weather Channel was saying we had over 150 knot winds out there. They can't both be right. They could both be wrong. We did have a powerful storm hit us and a lot of damage, loss of life. I did a live broadcast I called Weather Wars, and I talked about it. And I talked about that differential and that difference in data, which is accurate. And I mentioned there will probably be suicides from business and property loss, and there was. My nephew was working with a man who had a heart attack and dropped deader than a hammer chopping firewood, clearing his property. I said I believed that there would be heart attacks, and there was. It's not like I'm saying I just understand that that's part of the setup. That's part of how this actually works. People aren't prepared for that type of thing. It kind of freaks them out. This is kind of interesting. Somebody put Save the Earth on here. Well, there's a fire coming, and it's a fire that's mentioned in the Bible where God is going to destroy the earth, and it's going to be with fire and to the destruction of even the elements. There, you got to see the lightning there. How about that? That's combustible out there. Liquid oxygen and hydrogen. Electricity can, there it is. Electricity can shatter the bond between oxygen and hydrogen, creating combustion. This is the water that covers the face of the stationary and level Earth. That's the Myrtle Beach skyline. I'll zoom in as much as I can, show you some of that. There we go. When they construct large high-rise buildings, the liquid level is used to calibrate the laser level. How about that? That's just the reality of it. That's how it actually works. With so many people that come here, we'll end up having, we've got a lot of water towers like that right there. It's kind of nice. The sand and salt water is pretty aggressive. It'll rust things, and it doesn't feel real good on the skin. I'll tell you that right now. It feels good to have a freshwater rinse. I saw another flash behind me. More storming. So I'm going to take us on back to where I live, but I'm going to take a little bit more of a delayed drive. I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like on Highway 17 on the way home, so you can see that. So right now, as far as I know, there's no panic, no panicking. It's not like we've got a power outage. Now, I know what it's like to be out and about in this with storm warnings issued, and people are trying to get sandbags. I've got a 1.25 tons of sand in bags at home to help keep water infiltration out. We had water in the pond behind our house coming up, and I mowed the lawn in between as short as I could between the houses so the water would drain out to the road. When we're talking about flooding, we were close to getting flooded out. We were warned a couple of days before the river crested that by the morning We got a knock on the door. And we went and answered the door, and what we were told by the emergency rescue people is that there would be a 5 feet of water in our living room by 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow, about that. Who's ready to hear that? I mean, our garage needs cleaning. It's got extra stuff in it. I need to get to that one day. But the house, and can you imagine 5 feet of water in the living room, in the house? Who's ready for that? We would have been just devastated to have that happen. So just something to think about. And then there are people that have had flooding like that occur and lost their homes, their businesses, their lives, their cars, their stuff. It happens. You can see the news. You can see how it happens. So there's an artificial intelligence that's a system of control that is giving a false reality to humanity. So when I talked yesterday or last night about Frank Abagnale, the movie Catch Me If You Can, he's now a FBI agent, lives in Charleston, South Carolina. I met him at Rawhide Boys Ranch in the early 90s. Fascinating. That movie franchise made over $1 billion, according to what he said. So this is Highway 17. We can see how it's a lot lighter now. There's a storm cell that's around us that's gone through. And we've got scattered storms today. I just wanted to help kind of put this into perspective. When we look at commercial buildings, they're made out of typically steel reinforced concrete construction with, in some cases, in this wind area, in this wind zone, rated for insurance and all that, they've got to have windows that can handle over 160 mile an hour wind. Now we're facing the ocean again. This is the Walmart I drove to. Now look at the logistics. I'm gonna comment on this, and I want to show you. I mentioned the Penske trucks earlier. Right now, there's a lot of trucks here. Why is that? More than normal. I don't know why. Now, if AI was going to create a storm, we are in hurricane season. It might be like all hands on deck. Let's pre-place them. But when we had Hurricane Florence, I was looking around wondering, where are all the fuel transport trucks that would normally be here on a Memorial Day weekend or around an event like that? Why didn't they give us fuel? There were bags on the fuel pumps all over the place. We were out of fuel in a couple of days in most places. Why? Why was that? They could have sold a whole lot of fuel. Imagine that. How far can people go? How far can they get out of here if they want to? Just some things to think about. You know, and we've got the distribution of beer. I haven't had beer for years. I don't even have the appetite for it. It's not that I think, oh, I wish I could have a drink. That was the old me. When I have a drink today, I'll have highly purified water. It's a real benefit. I wounn't be brushing with any toxic toothpaste. Keep in mind, if you swallow a pea-sized amount of fluoridated toothpaste, you're supposed to contact poison control. There's more than that amount of fluoride in a glass of water in some cases. I used to have a TDS meter. I could test the dissolved solids in the water. In California, where we live, there was over 550 parts per million dissolved solids. Right here, there's about 170 parts per million. 550 parts per million is about 3/8 of an inch of sludge in a glass of water. How would you see that? Well, if you take a glass of ice and just let it thaw, the freezing and thawing will allow those solids to precipitate out. It was a pasty white sludge. The group Anonymous did a video about chemicals and drugs in the water. Apparently New Jersey had over 63 drugs in the water. Do you want drugs in your water? Who knows what the heck it is? Or fluoride or chlorine to kill the healthy gut flora that helps our our appropriate measured emotional response to stimulus. In other words, when the shit hits the fan, are you going to know what to do, or are you just going to freak out? Yeah, I dropped the S-bomb. How about that? Anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I'm off drugs, is because I'm off of all of them. I'm not on drugs from Aunt Millie's oxycodone because of her hip replacement. I wouldn't be jumping into a jacuzzi with a bunch of senior citizens that are on a smorgasbord of pharmaceuticals, and the foam is on the top of the water. What's in that foam? What's in the water? There's certainly a lot of chlorine, and I know that they've got pool technicians that are classed and trained on how to keep the bacteria from forming or from being dangerous, and they take readings and all that. But they're certainly not testing for drugs that are going to be loaded in that water. So what I would simply say with all this is, how will you apply critical thinking if your operating system is contaminated with chemicals and drugs that are designed to reduce your cognitive function? Now, I understand that's a mouthful, but that's just the way it is. And it's time to get going. So, there you go. I'm not quite done yet. I'm going to take us for a little further ride, but I wanted to just show you the beauty of this area. There's a lot of very nice restaurants and merchandise, sporting goods, and all kinds of shopping that people do here. But when it comes down to difficult times, do you think they're going to be looking for furniture, or they're going to be looking for food? Do you think they're going to be looking for clothing, or ice, or bottled water? That's what I'm talking about. So in the shopping center here, we've got Ross, TJ Maxx, Dick's Sporting Goods, Hobby Lobby, Publix food. Beautiful area. Well, the food is going to be what people are going to be looking for in an emergency. Food, generators, batteries, all that stuff. Well, have it now. Go ahead and have it now. I'm not saying buy guns, gold, and canned goods that you're never going to eat or wouldn't want to. Just have a little extra stuff that you know you're going to use, because the price of it's not going down. This is a bit of a storm warning, but when you can't fog a mirror or register a pulse, where will you be and why? Why will you be there? Just something to think about. Some people don't like going the speed limit. They want to go a little faster. And they're actually upset when people go the speed limit. That's too bad. That's just too bad. Because that's a several $100 ticket you're seeing right in front of you right now. Oh well. See, and that's part of the reality is I'll do what I believe I should do and everybody else can do what they believe they should do. Not in control of other people's activity. I'm actually not even that much in control of what I do as much as I used to think. And I'll tell you why. Because now that I'm actually born again, I have a desire to do what I'm created to do. So I'll just do that. And everybody else can deal with it as they see appropriate. That's all. When I became aware of how massive the deception, distraction, that's a $300 fine right there. Joni got one. She rolled in through the hospital zone at 55 miles per hour. Hey, that was almost 8 years ago. It's probably a $400 fine now. There's cars that are going to want to merge from the right up here. And the speed limit drops down to 40. So I will. Why not? I'll use a limited artificial intelligence to regulate the fuel and air distribution through the computer into this internal combustion engine. It's just the way it is. That's what 40 miles an hour looks like. There's the car that merged from the right. And I had people tell me when they would watch my videos, you need to be in the right lane. No, I don't. I'll be wherever I believe I need to be. We got a bunch of cars stacking up here in that lane. Now I'll go in the right lane. So it's seeing things further ahead. That's part of what it is. When I'm driving by the hospital and it's a shift change time, like 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, there will be the last minute drivers that are sometimes speeding. And like for me, I'm not plugged into the standard brainwashing diet of the television, whatever that is. It was a termite of time. So I'm awake almost 20 hours a day doing what I do. Leveraging worldwide instantaneous portable communications systems. It's not just my iPhone, it's the cloud and the internet that integrates all that. And when I like a video, it goes to my liked video playlist with millions of occurrences of that playlist all out there. If you want to see some of what I've been up to, you can hashtag my name. I'm known around the world for being a truther, and some would say an a-hole. Oh well, whatever. I mean, I'll just tell the truth and everybody else can deal with it. That's the bravado or the swagger that I bring to this discussion. Why not? So it's 80 degrees right now. Our air conditioner couldn't even keep up with the low humidity and the high intensity of the sun heating up our house. I mean, it's comfortable. 75 is comfortable with low humidity, no problem. What would it be like without electricity? About 100 degrees in the house. Yeah, how about that? People die. Arizona in the summer, California desert, 110 degrees. People would die. Lots of people would die without electricity. How about 110? How about 100 degrees below zero in the winter in the Midwest, or actually in North America? Could the system create a cold center? When somebody says global warming, I'll say it's not a globe. and it's weather modification. I'll use the climate change as a springboard to say there is weather modification that's actually occurring. And it's being caused by technology that's beyond our control. Oh, I hope we can make AI to be a good AI, one that we can live with. Are you kidding? It's a runaway train. Elon Musk doesn't he doesn't always lie when he says one thing for certain about AI. He's all stoned with Joe Rogan, drinking whiskey and smoking dope. He says, you will not control it. He was telling the truth then. And when he says you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, no, he's lying there. He didn't launch a car into space. That's ridiculous. So right in the middle of the view is a puddle. We'll see reflections and cars that go through it and all of that. All the symmetry, all the reflections, just the way it works. Just the reality of the world we live in. The washing machine isn't an anti-gravity device. The tennis ball is an anti-gravity orb. All of this stuff is ridiculous. People actually believe they live on a spinning water sphere. Why? Why do they keep believing it? Well, because that's what we're being programmed to believe. When the system wants to know your beliefs and your opinions, it'll give them to you. How about that? I'm giving them my opinion. I'm telling on them. I want to show you something. Okay, so I knew this was going to happen. We've got the porta unit out front of the house, and the house is not completed yet. I did a video where I showed the concrete being poured here. I'm just going to do a Y turn. So this was a vacant lot, and then they put concrete and built a house, and it looks like they have maybe a natural gas water heater. Let me explain why I think that is. Now in California they had gas water heaters. And the reason why they're elevated, and maybe you can see that, let's see if I zoom in. The reason why it's elevated is because if you have a lawnmower or a car in your garage, the temperature change will cause gas fumes to go out and down, and bam, gasoline looks for an ignition source. Happens to be in the engine of this car right now. Isn't that special? I love that. A naturally aspirated, fuel-injected V8 that's running good. This baby may need to get up and go sometime. I know how to drive. I know how to. Everything's well maintained. The suspension components on the front were recently replaced because they were ready to come apart. There was a noise and a vibration there that I picked up on, and Ernie said, yep, that's what they do. He's my car guy. He said, yep, going out of a parking lot, sometimes the wheel will just fall right off. The suspension falls apart. Well, it's a 1994. You don't have to do this very often. It's just, you need to make sure it's in good shape. So a bicycle can be handy in a power outage. So can a motorcycle. But they're not good for moving a lot of stuff. Just getting around. I can throw a bike in the back of the car and take it to high. I can park the car at higher ground. I want to show you something here, because I'm talking about it and I want to help bring this all around. There's a little shiny spot in the road that when it was dark out, I showed you the street light show up right there. It won't do it now because it's not on. My headlights are turning off the way they're supposed to now. It's got a bit of a personality. Sometimes they don't. Some of the basics. Things hang down. Water seeks level. We don't have upside down wind chimes in relationship to other wind chimes. That's just part of the reality. We've got condensation on our windows because they're not as energy efficient as I would like them to be. But oh well, they work. This is working now. I had to reactivate the breaker switch a couple of times. That's the water coming out of the air in the house. With all our water use in the house, breathing, plants, cats breathing, and all of that, it's just the way it is. So when the sun comes up and does this, it bounces off of the water and into the room there. And so the water is stationary, but the sun is moving. There's like little frogs and fish in here. So I wouldn't want to drink this water. However, I could take a bucket and flush a toilet with it, right? So when we had the flooding from the Waccamaw River, there was automatic transmission fluid and oil floating on this water. Well, it was coming from the swamp. There were auto repair businesses and all kinds of companies that were flooding out. This is the low spot between the two houses. You can see how the land is sloped away from the houses. The high spot in the center of the lot is where the house is. It's designed that way. It's just the way it actually works. So I did a live broadcast with Walter, the rescue turtle, set him free. He was going to drown in the drain right over there. A week before the storm happened or so, I had video where that was all flooded there. And they got a vacuum system to pump that out, the drain, and to blow it out. There was a problem with the water flow. The stormwater system that's designed to take water out of this neighborhood was filling this neighborhood up because of the nature of what was going on. This is a high spot all around us. All around here is a swamp. It's the Waccamaw Swamp. The Waccamaw River was filling this up. So days after the storm surge and all the flooding in North Myrtle Beach where I just was, the water was accumulating right around here and filling this neighborhood up. So we had water on the street. It crested and eventually went back down. One of the reasons why these neighborhoods have water retention ponds like this is because, well, we get a lot of rain fast. So all the, oh my gosh, is that a real alligator or a pretend alligator? I think it's a fake alligator. Yeah, he's not moving. Who does that? Hey, we had a 12-foot real alligator here that got relocated. So we've got sprinkles there out in the pond. I can't feel them here. They're not here yet. They might be. But like I mentioned, the firmament is above the face of the earth. It's a structure. That's a liquid mirror. Just keep that in mind. The location where we are, this neighborhood, right where my feet are walking, is about 10 feet above sea level. This is a little bit higher than my driveway. And the roadway out there on Highway 9 is a bit higher than here. And you know how I could tell that? Because the water is a natural level, and that's what was going on. It was showing us how that was. So I could see all the low spots in our neighborhood and all around. There was really no way they could shut the water off from flooding our neighborhood. There were too many inlets. It wasn't like one place they could block it. So I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to show that. We've got a lot of neighborhood watches in our neighborhood. Good morning. Dog walkers, golf cart drivers, concerned citizens, people that'll actually be on a drive around throughout the day and night. It's pretty cool. So I like that. So it's where I live. This is what I get to do. Wanted to show you a little something else. You know, it's nice to have another way to cook and heat. When we, I called our son David in Wisconsin one day. It was 16 degrees here. It was actually colder here than it was in Wisconsin. A little cooker like this can put off a lot of heat, but it's hard to get propane when there's an emergency, or it can be. The time to get all your emergency supplies would be before you actually need them. Those are our sandbags. They're 60 pounds each. I don't reckon somebody's going to want to take them. They don't even sell empty sandbags at the hardware store, the Home Depot. It's against the law to go to the beach and fill up sand and bring it home. Interestingly enough, that's just the way it is. But you can buy it. So the time to get it and have it is before you actually need it. So this is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth. Feel free to go ahead and hashtag my name and the YouTube Truth channel if you care to. And thank you so much.